and sustainable energy which can keep our world running without damaging the planet. Well, that's the dream. Hello and welcome, I'm Sadhika Tiwari and you're watching Eco India. So it seems that the solution to most our energy problems is not going to come from fancy new undiscovered elements. It is probably going to come from the things that have been around us all along. We just need to think a little differently, and this episode is all about that. There is so much debate about what are the sources of energy which are clean, how do we obtain them, and what does the energy future of planet Earth look like? Well, what if the answers to all of these questions were right in your backyard? Compressed bio-CNG could be the solution. It is clean, it is efficient, and it's indigenous.
Sanjay Marni is an elementary school teacher who lives on the outskirts of Pune. The car he drives runs on biogas, which allows him to drive much further than with conventional petrol, while also saving money in the process.
धूर तो अजिबातच निघत नाही त्यामुळे
No fumes comes out of my car anymore. It definitely doesn't pollute as much as compressed natural gas or petrol.
हा खूप महत्त्वाचा भाग झालेला आहे.
This little biogas station is part of a pilot project. Biogas is produced here. It has very similar properties to conventional natural gas.
So CBG or compressed biogas is the purified or enriched form of biogas that is being produced by the anaerobic digestion process. And the major composition of biogas is about 50 to 60% of methane, about 30% of carbon dioxide, small fractions of moisture, and hydrogen sulfide.
Will biogas replace conventional petrol in the long term? Experts think it will. An upside of biogas is that it's made from organic waste, so it's comparatively cheap to produce. An attractive prospect for India, which imports a huge portion of the gas it uses.
This CBG that is produced locally has the potential to, offset this demand, and it has been anticipated that by 2030, India could save close to 20 to 25 billion US dollars if CBG can be integrated into the energy mix.
The company Primove Engineering produces biogas from rice straw. During production, microbes initiate a reaction during which substances like starch, sugar, proteins, and fat are transformed into carbon dioxide and methane. The founders of Primove refer to it as second-generation biogas. First-generation biogas is used, making foodstuffs like maize and wheat. This new technology enables farming waste to be transformed into fuel. Over the course of a day, around 800 kilograms of rice straw are turned into 100 kilograms of compressed biogas here. According to Primove, the system can also transform the remains of cotton plants without using additional chemicals. Even farmers in the area profit from the system.
Before, I would either burn this paddy or use it as fodder for my livestock. Then I found this biogas company and they bought paddy from me at 4 rupees per kilo. I'm glad I can make some money from this waste.
Waste that results from the transformation process is turned into fermented organic fertilizer. Farmers now use it on their crops. The company says there are additional ecological advantages. The entire process is carbon neutral, and it maintains the systems are simpler and more flexible to be operated than wind or solar power systems.
We feel that the biomass is abundantly available across the country, across the globe in all tropical countries. In Africa, you go to Brazil, America, or even in Canada, Russia, you go anywhere. Agriculture always takes place. So it may be windy or sun may not be available, but agriculture takes place everywhere. So if our base is biomass, and so it overcomes all these limitations of other renewable energy options.
The Indian government wants to see 5,000 of these systems in operation by 2024. There are currently only 46. To generate energy, many of these rely on municipal waste and biomass from landfills.
India has the potential to produce about 62 million metric tons of compressed biogas. We have a lot of landfills throughout the country and the urban areas. It is a mix of organic as well as the inorganic fraction. So the organic fraction of that municipal solid waste can be used to generate bio CNG because it is rich in carbon and nitrogen.
But there is a major stumbling block on the road to making more biogas. Most of the trash in India's landfills isn't separated. It's one of the main reasons why biogas systems aren't more widespread.
Because if the segregation will not be there, uh, the plant will not work because it needs only the organic feedstock. If the inorganic feedstocks goes into the plant, it will disturb the whole biology of the plant.
Better cooperation between waste management, farming, and biogas manufacturers will be key if biogas is to become as mainstream as conventional petrol.
Delhi Metro is truly the lifeline of the city. In fact, my college years were practically spent on these trains like most Delhiites. And no surprises there because Delhi Metro is arguably the best sort of connected and the cheapest mode of transport within the city. But what could make it better?
This metro station in Delhi runs partially on solar power. It's on track to becoming the world's first metro station to get all its electricity from the sun. Anuj Dayal, Delhi's metro chief, has been working on this project for more than 5 years. He plans to build more solar-powered stations across the capital city.
Delhi Metro's philosophy is very clear. We want to generate as much non-conventional energy. Apart from the whatever is supplied by the grid, we want to generate a lot of energy through solar sources.
In recent years, India has ramped up its solar energy capacity and currently ranks 4th in the world in terms of solar power production. The country is now home to some of the largest solar power plants. Aviral Mahajan says that India is on its way to becoming a manufacturing hub for the world.
Solar energy is the future. There are going to be technological changes, there are going to be technological advancements, and India is at that point of time where we can answer the world that we are here and the world can manufacture their panels in India.
As solar energy gains traction across the country, many households and public offices are also turning to the renewable energy for their daily consumption. Kartik Sachdeva, who runs a solar panel installation company, says he can barely keep up with the job orders.
The demand in last 2-3 years has gone exponential. Every month we are getting more than 1,000 inquiries, and every day we're getting 3 to 4 orders that we are executing in various parts of Delhi.
With around 300 sunny days a year, India has the potential to become a world leader in solar power. And Delhi is also currently developing schemes to help people in rural areas switch to solar. That could be transformational for millions of Indians, especially for its poorest of citizens.
We humans have always been fascinated by the things around us, like the wind. This wind can blow away the leaves from trees, it can knock down traffic signs, and it can even blow away entire houses and trees if it gets really bad. So there must be some way to harness this tremendous power. Well, yes, turns out there is, and there are people who are trying several ways to do this. So let's go and watch their interesting adventures with the wind.
Hundreds of meters above our heads, there is enough wind to generate more power than the world needs, if only we would harness it. So why don't we? To answer this, I'll tell you a story about brilliant ideas and failed attempts. Of a race to the sky, insane potential, corporate buyouts, and passionate scientists. First, let me show you this. The more colors and lines you see on this map, the stronger the wind is. Here, that's the wind on the lower surface, which could spin a normal wind turbine as you know it. And this is wind several hundred meters above the ground. Notice anything? Exactly. Wind at higher altitudes tends to blow stronger and steadier, and this means more energy. If we could harvest those winds several hundred meters up there, we could potentially generate several times the energy than with wind turbines on the ground. And this gets us to the one question that has been haunting scientists and startups for decades. How do we do that? Building gigantic wind turbines as high as Dubai's Burj Khalifa tower isn't feasible. Oh, and just putting one on top isn't either. The winds up there are just too strong. But there are several ideas on how to get up there anyway. Tinkerers and passionate engineers have been building quite viable light windmills in their workshops. Some of them even founded small companies. A bigger operation launched in 2010. The US company Alteros came up with a generator attached to a helium balloon, a wind turbine without a heavy base and pillar. A cable connected it to the ground. It was tested in Alaska and supposed to harvest energy at up to 600 meters altitude. Around the same time, German company SkySails developed a high-altitude kite to pull entire container ships. The idea was to save diesel up to 10% according to its inventors. The shipping company went bankrupt, and neither the ship kite nor the wind turbine ever entered the market. But both prototypes pointed to one thing. To harvest high-altitude winds, you need flying power plants. Enter Google. In 2013, they bought the airborne wind energy company Makani for an undisclosed amount. With Google's money on board, Makani became the leading technology. Their flying power plant was about the size of a small aircraft. It climbed to an altitude of around 300 meters, where it circled in a continuous and automated loop. One device generated enough energy for 300 households, according to Makani. This seemed to be the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. A documentary was shot, the attention was huge, but suddenly things took a turn for the worse.
Suddenly the leader at that time in the field was going down.
This is Rishikesh Joshi. He does research at the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering at the University of Delft. And when he says going down, he literally means going down. One drone crashed during a test on the sea. To everyone's surprise, Google's parent company Alphabet decided to drop the project in 2020, expressing doubts about the economic viability of the flying power drone.
Definitely it was, let's say, a shock, because it was, we expected that Google might be supporting it till it reaches commercial viability. But the good thing that happened is after Makani went down, it made all the knowledge and all the data that they had open source.
The end of Makani didn't spell the end of airborne wind energy. A new wave of startups has kept working on smaller and smaller devices that use less and less material. Some pursued Makani's approach, others attached their drone to a rope which tugs at a generator. And others did the same but replaced the drone with a kite. The kite takes off automatically, directs itself against the wind, and unwinds a rope from a generator. It flies in a figure 8, constantly tugging the rope and creating energy. According to SkySails, it can create energy for up to 500 households using 90% less material than traditional wind turbines. Let's be clear though, there's nothing wrong with traditional wind turbines. They work, they're cheap at scale, and we urgently need more of them. But that's the thing. Airborne wind energy companies aren't here to replace turbines on the ground. They want to add to them. 1.4 billion people globally are living off-grid, and many of them currently power their homes with dirty diesel generators. It's still the early days, but SkySails sold their first device to Mauritius, where they plan to build an airborne wind energy hub for East Africa with a local investment company. The vision is to operate floating kite wind farms offshore. In many rural areas, SkySail says their kites can already outprice dirty fuel generators, and the industry sees an even brighter future ahead. In their own studies, they say airborne wind energy could become significantly cheaper than diesel and even cheaper than traditional wind energy. Airborne wind technology will need loads of investment. Not to mention that airborne devices throw up a bunch of regulatory questions around air traffic. So yes, high-altitude wind energy could be big, but it still has a long way to go. Every kid can fly a kite, but tapping into the winds up there and bringing their power down to Earth takes a lot more. The race for the skies is well underway.
Well, tapping into the air, sun and water to fuel our cars sounds like a great idea, but it might be a little more complex than it seems. Well, in today's day and age, we are asking the AI to tell us everything, what to eat, what to wear, and even what to say. So why not have it handle the energy issues of the world? Well, it seems it can do quite something. Let's take a look.
We'll save up to 50%. On average, we save 20%.
If you can save even 10%, that's a great start.
They're saving on energy using artificial intelligence, or AI. Intelligent software that works independently, learns constantly, and makes decisions, all without any human involvement. This apartment block in Berlin is revolutionizing heating. There are solar panels on the roof, pipes filled with used warm air from the apartments, and a system pumping geothermal energy from 100 meters below the Earth's surface. It's very sustainable, but also very complex. That's where these two developers come in. To make sure the whole system works, they've created a program that intelligently coordinates all the heat sources.
This is about predicting consumption, and also looking at when I use energy and how I can use it in the best and most efficient way. Ideally, also with renewables. That way, I can reduce costs and my carbon footprint while still having effective heating and being able to take a hot shower.
The smart system uses weather forecasts to predict energy usage.
If anything, heating systems currently work by responding to outside air temperatures, but they never predict future temperatures. They just react in a very static way. Our AI system has the advantage of letting people look into the future. I know that I'll have sun at 12 noon that I can use to generate heat or electricity, which I can use, perhaps, when it's not sunny anymore, but everyone is wanting a shower as they get home from work.
In Frankfurt, AI is helping save electricity in a data center. Thousands of computers are at risk of overheating here, so they have to be cooled constantly. To do this, water is pumped up to the servers from the basement. When it gets too hot, it's pumped up to the roof to cool down. Then it's sent back down into the basement to start the process all over again. It's an energy-intensive system.
What we provide now, in addition, is an extension of the parameters of the closed-loop system. When it's really cold outside, it's now not just the cooling tower that does less, but the pump too. And the subsequent pump also pumps a little less. So we consider this chain of dependencies, and we make sure that the systems all coordinate with each other.
Thanks to AI, Berlin's most important science and technology park is only heated when necessary, and completely automatically. To do this, digital twins of all the buildings were created and data gathered. The data was instructive, and now specific areas are only heated when needed.
Each employee could specify for their workplace. When should it be heated? When am I on vacation? Do I arrive at 6 and leave at 2 p.m.? All that can be defined individually, so that you do away with static heating at 20 degrees from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's an example of one measure that we've implemented.
Thanks to AI, the heating systems have to operate less frequently, and energy consumption is reduced. The developers didn't want to reveal how much the AI software costs, but they did say it would pay for itself after just 1 year.
My work as a journalist requires me to travel across the hinterlands and rural corners of the country. Now, in all of these places, the food, the ingredients, and even the recipes are really different and they keep on changing. But the one thing that is common in all rural kitchens across the country are chulhas or clay ovens. Now, these clay ovens are really terrible for the respiratory health and lungs of the women who cook on them, and they're also really bad for the environment. But there is a woman in Pakistan who has found a solution.
This is Champa's special place. She has spent hours decorating it with glass art and painting it with her favorite colors. Her best kitchen utensils are on display here. It's a stove that she built herself. Besides being spacious and beautiful, her stove is also environmentally friendly. Champa made it from locally sourced lime and clay, and it doesn't need wood. She uses briquettes that she made out of cow dung and sawdust. The elevated platform helps her sit comfortably while cooking.
तो आस-पास में मैं जाती थी, पैदल जाती थी.
I used to go to other villages with my husband on foot and used to build stoves. I used to charge 200 rupees for just one stove. I used to make 10 stoves a day. I saved money and bought a donkey cart, and after I made 10,000 stoves, I earned enough money to buy a motorbike. On the bike, my husband took me to far-flung areas. So far, I have made 40,000 stoves.
So Champa charges less than €1 for one stove, which is affordable for the poor community in the rural areas of Sindh province in South Pakistan. 9 years ago, the Heritage Foundation of Pakistan helped train Champa and other women in the craft of stove making. A small change in their homes has not only improved women's lives, but it is also helping the environment.
The biggest impact the stoves had on the environment is zero use of wood. They use waste material instead. Our audit team is working to assess changes in women's health. We observed that cases of suffering from asthma and eye diseases due to smoke have decreased. There were many cases of children getting burned because the stoves were on the ground. Those cases have also been reduced.
In rural Pakistan, every other household lacks access to a clean and safe cooking stove. Millions still use traditional open-fire stoves. And it is often the women who have to spend hours fetching wood for daily cooking. Women who have now switched to the new stoves know the difference.
This stove protects us from the heat and smoke, and also protects our kids and animals from diseases. Even the rainwater did not damage the stoves, so they are very convenient.
Champa is giving back to the community. She and her husband are on their way to a nearby village. She wants to train other women to build stoves themselves. First, Champa explains why an elevated stove can help women. She tells them the stoves, due to their height, can often survive floodwaters, and the use of lime can help to absorb carbon emissions. Champa shows the women how to take measurements. They outline the boundary and prepare the lime mixture. The women then use the mixture to cement the clay bricks. After about 3 hours of labor, the women have made their first stove. But decorating the chimney is the best part.
I want to teach other women. I want to spread this skill. I want these stoves to be made in most of Pakistan. This would help poor people a lot. If the monsoon hits, people should not end up living on the streets.
Building the stoves helped Champa give her children a good life. She got them married and was able to earn savings. She also gained an appreciation of her community.
I feel really happy that I have done so much work. It brought prosperity to my home. People recognize me. When I go to any village, the small kids say, "Look, Champa is here."
And the new stoves work as a place to connect and build bonds among the villagers.
Today's episode really left me hopeful. I mean, we are living in really unpredictable times and things are pretty bad. But despite all of this, there are people from varied backgrounds who are coming up with solutions that truly make a difference. Did you find any hope today? Do let me know. You can email us or reach out to me directly on my Twitter. I will see you next week. Do come back. Until then, take care. See you soon. Namaskar.